Daily Bible Time. Good morning. It is Dominic Steele, Monday morning. Thanks for joining us. Good day at Village Church yesterday, and we looked at hope in conflict, and thinking about Ephesians chapter 2, and that God has done a remarkable thing vertically with us, raising us up, making us alive, and seating us with Christ in the heavenly realms. But horizontally, he's brought us from far away. He's now brought us near. There's a one new person, and so we're to live at peace, Jews and Gentiles, in the church of God. But actually, all of those different opinion issues at peace together in the Church of God. Now, Monday the 28th of April, and we're thinking this week, taking a break from 1 John, and thinking about this new book about to be released on the Nicene Creed. It's by Mark Gilbert and Leonardo Di Chirico. Going to be speaking with Leonardo Di Chirico on The Pastor's Heart next week about the book. And but I'm just going to this week look at a chapter a day and just think about it. The history of the Nicene Creed, that's the first chapter. Rachel Ciano has written that. And the whole issue is that the Nicene Creed has become, a central point of unity in the Christian church. And people say, I'm a Nicene Christian. I am a Nicene Christian. I believe those things. But then there's a whole lot of things that we disagree on. Now, Rachel has looked at the history of the Nicene Creed. She's talked about the world of Nicaea and the 4th century Roman Empire, tumultuous time and place, particularly for Christians. The fledgling Christian movement for 3 centuries has had all sorts of pressure from outside the church, but just at the beginning of the 4th century, Constantine comes. Well, it's debated. Does Constantine come to Christ, or does he just expediently see that it will be the benefit of the Roman Empire if we can actually make Christianity the official religion of the Roman Empire? And so he says, I want Christianity to be the official religion of the Roman Empire, and he says, I want Christianity to be united. A split to Christianity threatens the whole Roman Empire. And so he calls the creed together. The threat that is threatening to split the Roman Empire is Arianism, and really the very nature of Jesus. And so what the debate is about is, Arius of Alexandria. He was teaching on the nature of Christ, and he was saying that, he desired to protect, this is following Rachel Ciano, the confession of God's unity, God's oneness, God's transcendence, and he didn't want to conceive any change to the essence of God. And in trying to protect these theological truths, he ended up teaching that while God the Father was eternal, Jesus was not. He was of a higher order than humanity, but of a lower order than God. The Son was capable of change, whereas God was not. And Arius' theology maintained it was Jesus' obedience that led to his adoption into the Godhead, and therefore salvation for humanity was as a result of imitating Jesus' obedience. And so, by that teaching from Arius, salvation by grace through faith in the atoning work of the incarnate Son, obliterated. And so rather than seeing the term Son as a description of the relationship between the Father and the Son, Arius saw it as a temporal idea. If no earthly son can be as old as his earthly father, then logically it comes that God the Son cannot be as old as the Heavenly Father, for the Son must be a created being. And so the jargon line became, before I give you the jargon line, this is Arius, and I'm following Rachel Ciano. This is how he put it in a letter to his supporter, Eusebius, the bishop of Nicomedia. We are persecuted because we say the Son had a beginning, but God is without beginning. And likewise, because we say he's from nothing, and this we say because he's neither part of God nor of any lower essence. And the catch cry, the jargon line that was used to popularize Arius' teachings was, there was a time when the Son was not. Now, if Arius is correct, then it means that Christians, in ascribing deity to Christ, have two gods. And so what the Council of Nicaea is called together to discuss that, and Prior to Nicaea, church councils, they'd only been local or provincial in scope. It was the first empire-wide gathering, and with Constantine's backing and a pressure from Constantine to come to an agreement. There were three broad groups at Nicaea, says Rachel Giano. The Pro-Arians, fairly small group of about 15, led by Eusebius of Nicomedia. Arius himself was not a bishop and therefore not a member of the council. Secondly, there are the Anti-Arians. They maintain that the Son was identical essence with the Father, and Athanasius led that cohort. And the third group, the largest and actually most disinterested group, they were led by the church historian Eusebius of Caesarea, who had more than a little soft spot for Emperor Constantine. And this group rejected out of hand the idea that Jesus was created, was happy to admit that the Son was begotten of the Father before all time, that is eternal. And Eusebius did, however, reject the idea that Jesus was the same essence of the Father, and instead argued that he was of a similar essence with the Father. And so the battle became over not whether or not Arius was right, but whether or not we would see Jesus as a being of the same essence of the Father, or as of a similar, like nature to the Father. How did people understand the very nature of the Son? And the council decided that they were against Arianism, but they had more difficulty deciding what they were for on that theological question. Constantine exerted pressure, and all but two council members ended up signing off on the Nicene Creed. But you've got a forced unity, which is really no unity at all. And tomorrow on Daily Bible Time, we'll explore what happens then, and how there needs to be another council called in, 70 or so years, that actually sorts out that paper-thin unity issue that we're left with today. Thanks for joining us on Daily Bible Time today. See you tomorrow morning. God bless.